Okay, bearing capacity of soil. So first of all, we need to define certain things. Okay. So what is bearing capacity? Bearing capacity means, see, by application of external loads through the footings, okay, the soil experience some pressure. So if the pressure is more than some limit, it fails in shear actually. So up to what extent it can bear, that is bearing capacity. The bearing capacity is nothing but the pressure the soil can sustain without giving any shear failure. Okay. So we need to define certain terms. First one, ultimate bearing capacity. Ultimate bearing capacity. It is represented with QU. Okay. Let us take a foundation be placed at some depth. The foundation can be either strip foundation, strip footing, or rectangular footing, or square footing, or circular footing, whatever it may be. So let us assume the footing is placed at a depth of DF, depth of foundation. DF is depth of foundation. So DF is basically to the bottom of the footing, okay, from ground level to bottom of the footing, whatever depth is there, that is depth of foundation. Depth of foundation. Generally, we place, in general, it may be around 1 or 2 meters, okay, depth of foundation. So now what is meant by ultimate bearing capacity QU means, see, actually because of this load as well as, see, by application of this load and the soil weight as well as footing weight completely, okay, the total together how much weight it comes divided by area. So this weight also roughly footing unit weight as well as soil unit weight same we can take, okay, roughly. So now this thing create P as well as the P load, okay, the P load plus suppose area of footing is A into DF is the area into DF is the volume into gamma. The total, this is the total weight, okay, total weight at base of footing, okay, base of footing. So pressure P plus A into DF into gamma divided by footing area, that is the pressure actually. Pressure at base. Pressure at base, okay. Let us assume this is Q. So at the time of failure, at the time of shear failure, how much it can sustain, that pressure is called ultimate bearing capacity. So ultimate bearing capacity is called, it is the maximum pressure. It is the maximum pressure at base which causes shear failure. Shear failure of soil. That is the ultimate bearing capacity. Okay. So you can see here ultimate bearing capacity here. Let's assume it is PU. Okay, PU load. PU load. Okay, that is QU. Okay. So QU equal to, so PU by A plus A by A gets cancelled. So gamma DF. So gamma DF is the pressure caused by this soil of this DF depth. Soil of DF depth. So gamma DF is the pressure caused by the soil as well as of course footing. So footing unit weight and soil unit weight more or less equally we take, okay. So same. Same, I mean, footing also we will take as a same as soil unit weight. Okay. So gamma df represents pressure caused by this df depth of soil. Okay. So pu by a is the pressure caused by external load. So total together is imposing some pressure here. So total together that pu as well as gamma df. Okay. pu by a as well as gamma df is imposing some pressure. At this pressure, the soil fails actually. The soil fails. So that pressure is called ultimate bearing capacity. Ultimate means it's the maximum pressure. So beyond that you cannot place. By that pressure itself, the soil fails. Understood? No? It's a failure pressure basically. But that pressure is due to not only due to external load as well as the soil above the footing, whatever is there, including that footing weight itself, footing weight, the above the soil, above the footing soil weight. So everything is causing this QU pressure. So because of this QU pressure at the base of the footing, the soil is failing. The soil is fails in shear. That is ultimate bearing capacity. So now, if you want to talk about what is the pressure caused by external loads, that means we need to separate this gamma df. That is called net ultimate bearing capacity or ultimate net bearing capacity. Generally we call it net ultimate. Net ultimate bearing capacity, QNU. So it is defined as basically the maximum pressure. The maximum pressure at base due to external loads. Due to external loads which causes failure. Shear failure. Okay. So that is the net ultimate. That means net ultimate bearing capacity is nothing but ultimate bearing capacity minus gamma df. Okay. The pu by a whatever is there, that is net ultimate. The load from the structure divided by area to cause the failure is called net ultimate bearing capacity. Clear, Kirti? Clear, man?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so this is the net ultimate pressure or net ultimate bearing capacity is the pressure due to external loads. So anyway, we are finding capacity, and for design, actually for design purpose, always we should have lesser pressure than this for safety. So you cannot go up to this. Okay. That's why always we should have some factor of safety. So for that case, actually, soil will be having more factor of safety because in soil, I mean, in civil engineering materials, if you see concrete, steel, wood, or whatever, okay, the soil having more uncertainty compared to any other materials, right? So steel 1.15 in limit state design, concrete 1.5 for limit state design. But here, soil, it's a most uncertain material. That's why we take actually more factor of safety compared to any other material in the civil engineering. Here, basically, we have factor of safety of about 2.5 to 3. 2.5 to 3 for factor of safety. So having factor of safety, what is the net safe bearing capacity? This is the net ultimate. What about net safe bearing capacity? Net safe bearing capacity. So just we need to have some factor of safety. So QNS equal to QNU divided by F, where F is the factor of safety. Factor of safety, generally it is 2.5 to 3. Okay. So net what is the net safe bearing capacity means the maximum pressure. Definition is like this. The maximum pressure that can be applied, the maximum pressure due to external loads, that can be applied, safely without any risk of shear failure. Shear failure of soil. So safely how much pressure can be applied through the external loads. So that is the net safe bearing capacity. Then what about gross safe bearing capacity? QGS. Okay. Net safe bearing capacity plus that gamma df for the footing soil, the soil above the base level, whatever is there, that weight. Okay. So this is the gross safe. So how can we define this? Basically the maximum pressure that can be applied at base safely without causing any shear failure. So it's a gross pressure including that gamma df. Okay, so these are the terms you need to understand. Okay, net, ultimate bearing capacity, net ultimate bearing capacity, net safe bearing capacity, and gross safe bearing capacity. Okay, QU, QNU, QNS, okay, and QGS. So like this, these four terms we need to understand. Okay. So here our main concern is how to find ultimate bearing capacity. So if you have ultimate bearing capacity, any other things can be worked out very easily. Okay. Any other things can be worked out. So net safe load or everything can be worked out. Okay. So first, how to find ultimate bearing capacity? That is our main concern here. Okay. After finding ultimate bearing capacity, so you can find net safe bearing capacity. If you have net safe bearing capacity, so QNS if you have, so net safe load also you can work out. So here net safe load QNS equal to net safe bearing capacity multiplied by area of footing. Okay. That is net safe load. Net safe load on the footing. Okay. So that much load can be applied. Okay. As external load. Okay. So net safe bearing capacity multiplied by A. So that can be worked out. Okay. So we'll see how to calculate this ultimate bearing capacity. What are the theories available? How those theories evolved? Those things we will see. Of course, our finally we derive C and C plus Q and Q plus 0.5 gamma B and gamma. Okay. But how it evolved? So what efforts they put? Okay. All those things we will see. First, in 1885, Rankine proposed like this. Rankine's analysis. In 1885. We can call it as a first, first thing. Okay, in the history, first time they thought like this. Okay, so best, how to find bearing capacity. So first came in Rankine's mind. So he proposed like this. Suppose if you have a footing like this, basically, if you see this line here, end of the footing, just if you see here, the element which is just left side and right side, if you observe, element of the soil just below the footing, okay, I am exaggerating here, okay, like this, these two elements. Let us assume this is first element, this second element, first and second. See, on this first element, basically, let us assume the stress here applied is So QU, because the footing is imposing QU pressure. The footing is at a depth of DF. That means here, this side, here, the pressure will be gamma DF. Gamma is the unit weight of soil, okay? So here, this is QU, but here pressure is gamma DF, right? So this QU is major principal stress, sigma 1. Okay. So what about sigma 3? Similarly, for second element, actually that is gamma DF is minor principal stress, sigma 3. So then for second element, how to find sigma 1? We know one thing. As per Rankine's theory, major principal stress divided by minor principal stress divided by major principal stress is what? Active earth pressure coefficient, okay, Ka, right? So by using this, yeah, first element, for first element, element 1, here you can observe sigma 3 of first element must be equal to sigma 1 of second element for equilibrium. These both elements must be in equilibrium. So that means horizontal pressures at this interface of these two elements must be same. Sigma 3 of first element must be equal to sigma 1 of second element. Clear now?
Yeah, yes, sir.
So for first element, sigma 3 if you want to find Ka into sigma 1, right? Ka into sigma 1.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
So Ka into sigma 1 of first element, okay, equal to sigma 1 if you want to find sigma 3 by Ka. Sigma 3 by Ka of second element. That means Ka into sigma 1 of first element, you know, Qu equal to sigma 3 of second element, you know, gamma df by Ka. So Qu equal to gamma df by Ka square equal to, you know what is Ka? So you know Ka equal to 1 minus sin pi by 1 plus sin pi. Right? So 1 by Ka square, that means 1 plus sin pi, yeah, 1 plus sin pi by 1 minus sin pi whole square into gamma df. Okay, this is the first ever developed formula for ultimate bearing capacity. 1 plus sin pi by 1 minus sin pi whole square into gamma df. We don't design footings based on this formula, but this formula can be used to find minimum depth of foundation. So minimum depth of foundation. Minimum depth of foundation equal to df. Df minimum equal to, just reverse that formula. That means df equal to what is that? 1 minus sin pi by that q by gamma into 1 minus sin pi by 1 plus sin pi whole square. So q is the pressure, applied pressure here, where q equal to pressure at base. Okay, so this formula can be used for finding minimum depth of foundation. Understood now? The first ever developed formula to find ultimate bearing capacity, but we never use this formula to find ultimate bearing capacity anyway. So to find minimum depth of foundation, this formula can be used. Clear, Madhu?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
దాన్ని డెవలప్ చేసిన పర్పస్ అయితే అల్టిమేట్ బేరింగ్ కెపాసిటీ కోసం తయారు చేశారు, కానీ ఆ పర్పస్ కాకుండా వేరే పర్పస్ సర్వ్ అవుతుంది మనకు. ఎనివే ఫస్ట్ స్టెప్ అలా పడింది అనమాట బేరింగ్ కెపాసిటీకి. నెక్స్ట్, సో నెక్స్ట్ ఇన్ హిస్టరీ 1921 actually. Prandtl. So Prandtl analysis. He is the pioneer actually who had given, I mean, the very first thought, okay, thought of the failure surfaces and all. So he had given, suppose if this is the ground level, okay, and footing is placed here like this at the surface, okay, and suppose you are imposing a QU pressure here to cause failure, the failure will be like this. He assumed failure like this actually. See, he assumed like this. See, strictly speaking, how it fails means, how the footing fails means, actually, because of this pressure, because of this footing pressure, okay, the wedge form, I mean, the below the footing, a wedge kind of thing will form. That means this soil, the triangular portion soil will act as a wedge, okay, and it tries to sink. It tries to sink like this. So sinking, settlement is possible only when the side of the soil will be moved laterally. Okay, that means in that situation, actually the soil moved like this. Actually, the soil capacity, I mean, shear capacity of the soil will be there. So it resists maximum. So after its, I mean, its strength, after exhausting of the strength, the soil wedges, I mean, the soil shapes here, they move like this, and the wedge shaped soil will move in downward direction. So these regions will be moved sideways. That means the side zones actually gives way to the wedge to go down. Okay. So that's actually the soil will be here. This soil, the arrow marked soil will be trying to move away, while this is the failure surface actually. This is the failure surface. Okay. So exact thing is like this, but Prandtl proposal like this actually. So here he assumed the angle here, he assumed actually angle of 45 plus pi by 2. Okay, you know 45 plus pi by 2 is what? Alpha, right? The major principal, the surface with the major principal plane. That is the 45 plus pi by 2. So they assumed like this, 45 plus pi by 2. And here, this angle actually 45 minus pi by 2 assumed. Okay, here and here. That means here also 45 minus pi by 2. Here also 45 minus pi by 2. And see, this zone is actually, let's assume it is 1. This is 2. This is third zone. Zone 1 is basically equilibrium, I mean equilibrium zone. Elastic equilibrium zone. That means that zone won't move anyway. I mean, won't move in laterally. Okay. So because of friction between footing and soil, that zone laterally won't move. That will be in elastic equilibrium. That will be experiencing compressive stresses. Okay. Second zone is actually, he assumed the equation for this radial zone. Okay. he assumed actually logarithmic spiral equation for this. Suppose this is R naught, then here it is R1 radius. Suppose this angle is theta. So how that R1 depends on R naught means R1 equal to R naught into e power 3 pi by 4 minus pi by 2 into tan theta. Okay. So how that R1 depends on theta means like this. So they assume like this. The equation of this curved zones are radial zones. Okay. So those radial zones are having logarithmic spiral equation. Okay. That's why these zones are, the second zone is actually radial shear zone. Third zone basically, of course, we can name it as a Rankine passive zone because passive at present kind of thing will be there. Okay, in the third zone. So based on this, he proposed, and here we can assume, I mean, we can derive certain things here. Suppose pi equal to 0. Friction angle is 0 like cohesive sides. Okay. Then what happens? Then it becomes like this. Q. Assume width of the footing is here B. B is the width of the footing. Okay. Here what would be the angle now? Here see 45 plus pi by 2 means here pi is 0. Then here this angle is 45 degrees. 45 degrees. And here R1 equal to R0 into, if pi is 0, what happens? Pi is 0. Tan 0 0 e power. Okay. Actually that also I think tan pi. As theta increases, sorry, this also tan pi, but somewhere theta dependency must be there, right? Theta dependency must be there somewhere. 1 second. So maybe we'll check it actually. Here this may be theta. This may be theta by 2 here. So tan pi 0 means e power 0 1 and R1 equal to R0. Okay. So at any, I mean at any theta, radius will be same R0 here. So R equal to R1 equal to R0 here. That means here the arc will come. Same radius everywhere. Like this. Here also same radius. Okay. So here also 45 degrees. Here 45 degrees because pi 0. So now how to see here the shear resistance will be there like this. Like this. Here also the soil tries to push away, but below that the resistance will be there. So how to analyze this, we will see. Take 50% of this portion and we can analyze. So take that ABC wedge, okay, or I will name this like this, A, B, C. So if you take that ABC portion, like this, here the load will be here because B by 2 width actually. So QU into B by 2 is the total load on this. Okay. This is 45 degrees. Okay. So now At center here, the vertical component will be QU into B by 2, and because the normal to the surface, the normal is actually again 45 degrees. So this will be the resultant actually. That means horizontal component also must be there. So horizontal component also will be QE into B by 2, because if this one, the resultant is QE into B by root 2, then only you can get, because this is 45 degrees, right? So vertical component, to get vertical component QU into B by 2, the inclined component must be QU into B by root 2. Then obviously horizontal component also will be there, QU into B by 2. So that one will be balanced here at interface of these two. Actually, I have given dotted line here. So here at interface, QU into B by 2 force will be there. So now this ABC triangle is in equilibrium. Clear? Ardhamainda idi? Vertical force is balanced, horizontal force is balanced, right?
Yes, sir.
So now this one, whatever force is there, QU into B by 2. So that BC interface, you can see this BC interface. So I will take that separately. This one BC interface, and the remaining portions are like this and like this. Okay. So the same amount of force will be at center here. How much? QU into B by root 2. Okay. And its length about B is this one. Its length about here. This is actually. So this will be the total BC length is actually BC. You can see here how much BC? B by root 2. Is it B by root 2? BC is B by root 2 because AB is B by 2. AB is B by 2. AC also B by 2. Obviously, BC is B by root 2. So this will be, this length will be B by 2 root 2 because of mid depth. Okay, that one. And here because of cohesion, C into the length is, see here 90 degrees, right? Because of 90 degrees, the total length is BC length is B by root 2. B by root 2 multiplied by pi by 2, arc length. Arc length is B by root 2 pi by 2. Is it okay? Because this is 90 degrees. Pi by 2. The arc length is BC into pi by 2. BC is B by root 2. Clear? The cohesive strength arrived due to this arc is C into B by root 2 into pi by 2. And here also we'll get something. So the length is here. C into length is that also B by root 2 because of symmetry. Okay. Now take moments about B point. Okay. Take moments about B. What happens? Take moments about B. So QU into B by root 2 force into its lever arm is B by 2 root 2. It's an anti-clockwise, and clockwise will be C into cohesion into B by root 2 into pi by 2 is the force. For the force constant radius is there. That is, that radius is how much? That radius is B by root 2 plus then C into B by root 2 is the force, and it's here again 90 degrees here. Okay. So the length is, lever arm is B by root 2. From this you can work out what is C, what is QU. What is QU? From this everything can be gets cancelled, and you can get QU equal to how much? Tell me. Everywhere here 4 is there. There also Cu pi is there. C can be taken out. Pi plus, there how much? Can I write 2 here into 2 by 2? So pi plus 2. That equal to pi plus 2 how much? Is it 5.14? See. So QU equal to, we arrived at QU equal to 5.14 C. So here you can observe here the footing is at surface. The footing is at surface. There is no depth effect. You can observe here. There is no weight effect also. You can observe simply QU equal to 5.14 C. That means QU equal to C and C. You can write like this. But where NC equal to 5.14. Clear? The bearing capacity of footing resting at surface on cohesive soil, cohesive soils, pure cohesive soils. Based on this Prandtl theory. అర్థమైందా ఈక్విలిబ్రియం ఎలా వచ్చింది అనేది?
Yes, sir.
మూమెంట్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం ఒకటి, ఇక్కడ ఫోర్స్ ఈక్విలిబ్రియం ఒకటి, అంతా చేసి మనం ఫైనల్ గా QU అనే దానికి ఎక్స్ప్రెషన్ తెప్పించాం అన్నమాట. So this thought was given first by Prandtl in 1921 itself. Okay. So this is the first step, okay, proposed for this bearing capacity. Okay, of course, first step was Rankins, but more practical or more scientific approach was given by Prandtl. Okay, the radial surfaces, that failure surface, the assumption and all, he only given. So now, after Prandtl analysis in 1921, in 1929, Hosentogler and Terzaghi. Hosentogler and Terzaghi analysis. (1929). So again, these people, Hosentogler and Terzaghi, they tried with the similar procedure as Rankins, but little bit of variation. Okay, so how they tried is we'll see. So suppose footing is at a depth of df. Footing is placed at a df depth. Suppose here pressure is QU and the sidewise here pressure is how much? Gamma df, right? Away from footing, the pressure is at this level, gamma into df. Now same like by Rankine, they propose like this. First element, second element. I am exaggerating here. Again. But they assume like this. They have taken this element at 1 second. So they have assumed here alpha. Alpha means 45 minus 45 plus pi by 2. Here 90 minus alpha. Here 90 degrees. And at mid depth exactly here. And here if you see, these elements, okay. First element to second element. So this depth will be b by 2 into tan alpha, right? Because this width is, breadth of the footing is b. B by 2, B by 2, okay. You can see here total depth is b by 2 tan alpha, okay. So here sigma 1 equal to QU. Here this is sigma 3 equal to gamma df. First element, second element. So this is sigma 3, this is sigma 1. Same as Rankine's analysis, the procedure is like this. Sigma 3 of first element equal to sigma 1 of second element, okay. Now we are calculating at a mid depth, okay. That means here this depth is this one, b by 4 into tan alpha. At b by 4 into tan alpha we are calculating, okay. So what is sigma 1 of 1? Okay, sigma 1 we know. Okay, sigma 1 of instead of QU, that weight also we will consider, okay. QU plus, one second, that is QU plus what else will be there at up to center of this one? Check it. Sigma 1 equal to QU as well as plus some gamma into b by 2 tan alpha up to center. QU plus gamma into b by 4 tan alpha, right? Antena? Gamma into b by 4 tan alpha up to center of that element. That element is at a depth of b by 4 tan alpha. So QU plus gamma into b by 4 tan alpha. అర్థమైందా అది sigma 1 ఎలా వచ్చిందో?
Yes, sir.
Similarly, sigma 3 also not simply gamma df plus gamma into df plus that also gamma into df plus b by 4 tan alpha, b by 4 tan alpha. Okay. So for first element, how to find sigma 3, and for second element, how to find sigma 1. Okay. You know one thing actually, that is sigma for anything, sigma 1 equal to sigma 3 tan square alpha plus 2c tan alpha. Do you know this formula from shear strength of soils?
Yes, sir.
So the same formula can be used to find sigma 1 of second element. Okay. Otherwise, sigma 3 can be also written like this. Sigma 3 can be written sigma 1 cot square alpha minus 2c cot alpha. Is it also okay, right? Sigma 1 is there, sigma 3 can be worked out like this. Sigma 1 by tan square alpha, that is sigma 1 cot square alpha minus 2c cot alpha. Is it okay? So now sigma 3 of first element can be worked out. Sigma 1 into cot square alpha minus 2c cot alpha. Sigma 3 of first element. అర్థమవుతుందా? Sigma 1 తెలుసు మీకు ఫస్ట్ ఎలిమెంట్ కి, sigma 3 కనుక్కోవాలి ఎలా? So that is sigma 1 cot square alpha. Sigma 1 means QU plus gamma b by 4 tan alpha. This is sigma 1 into cot square alpha minus 2c cot alpha is equal to, so for second element sigma 3 is known, sigma 1 we need to find. So how to find sigma 3? Sigma 3 is gamma df plus gamma b by 4 tan alpha, that is sigma 3 into tan square alpha plus 2c tan alpha. Clear? If c equal to 0, okay, of course you can simplify this actually. So qu equal to, you will get like this. If you simplify this, you will get very simple equation. So gamma df into tan power 4 alpha plus gamma b by 4 into tan power 5 alpha minus tan alpha plus 2c into tan cube alpha plus tan alpha. So this is the, bearing capacity equation. Okay, understood now? Gamma df term is there. This gamma df term. C term is there. Some other term also is there. Okay. If c equal to 0, what happens? If c equal to 0, then qu equal to only these two terms, right? Gamma df into tan power 4 alpha plus gamma b by 4 into tan power 5 alpha minus tan alpha. This equation is called Ritter's equation. Ritter's equation. If pi equal to 0, then tan alpha will be 1. C equal to Cu and tan alpha equal to 1. Then Qu equal to, what happens? Gamma df plus 4Cu. Is it okay? 4Cu, or net ultimate bearing capacity will be simply 4Cu. Very conservative. In Prandtl we got actually 5.14. Okay. Terzaghi equation actually we'll see 5.7, but here Hosentogler and Terzaghi's analysis 1929 they got only 4Cu. It's very much conservative. So they tried like this also first, Terzaghi. Clear? So Rankins line lo ఆలోచించాడు అన్నమాట Terzaghi కూడా. అవునా? డిఫరెన్స్ ఏంటి? కొంచెం డెప్త్ కింద ఆలోచించాడు అన్నమాట. అంతే కదా? అంతే కదా చేంజ్? ర్యాంకిన్స్ లాగానే ఆలోచించాడు కానీ ఏంటి చేంజ్ ఇక్కడ? ఆల్ఫా యాంగిల్ పెట్టుకొని ఆ మిడ్ డెప్త్ లో థింక్ చేశారనమాట. మధు అర్థమైందా?
Yes, sir. అర్థమైంది.
Okay. Now finally in 1943 Terzaghi proposed like this. Terzaghi's bearing capacity. Theory. 1943. Okay. So he made some assumptions. That assumptions are also very important. First one is the base of the footing is rough. Why this assumption means the wedge whatever we are assuming that must be always with footing means the roughness is required. So that's why he is assuming the base of the footing is rough. Second one is the footing is shallow. Shallow means how much shallow? According to him, depth of foundation must be always less than or equal to B. Then only this theory is valid. Okay. Otherwise, too much of conservativeness you will get. Okay. So third one, the shear strength of the soil. The shear strength of the soil above the footing, above the base. Above the base of the footing is neglected. the shear strength, okay, up to footing level only he considered. Above that, completely neglected. But its weight, gamma df, is considered and assumed it acts as a surcharge. That means the weight of the soil is, replicated with the help of, surcharge. That's all. That means shear strength completely neglected. Its weight only taken into account. Okay, its weight is taken into account, but its shear strength neglected. But this assumption is okay because depth of foundation is very less compared to B, so that's why it's okay. It's not a big blunder. Number 4, the load on the footing is vertical. The load on the footing is vertical and distributed uniformly. That means no eccentricity. See, all ideal conditions he assumed, okay. Number 5, the footing length is infinite. That means strip footing. So first actually in 1943 assumed all these things, okay. Next, the shear strength is based on S equal to C plus sigma and tan pi formula. Okay, this one. So having this one, he proposed his theory like this. So suppose this is the ground level. This is footing level. So here this is QU. The soil weight completely is represented by gamma df here as a surcharge. Gamma df, let us assume small q. So actually QU contains gamma df as well as external load, everything, okay, that QU. Now he assumed here like Prandtl only, but here instead of 45 plus pi by 2, he assumed pi only. That is the major change he has done, okay. This is zone 1. So similar, like Prandtl, he also assumed radial shear zones. Okay. And Rankin's passive zones, he also assumed same way. Okay. Everything is same as Prandtl, but only difference is instead of 45 plus pi by 2, he has taken simply pi angle. Here same as Prandtl, 45 minus pi by 2. Okay. So this is radial shear zones. Third zone is Rankin's passive zones. One is elastic equilibrium zone. Kirti, clear kadamma? See, the failure surface is not extending up to ground surface. The failure surface is, shear strength is only utilized up to foundation level only, right? Even though footing is at some depth, The shear strength of soil up to DF not considered at all. Okay. So zone 1 acts like a wedge actually, like a wedge as a part of footing and tries to settle down. Meanwhile, what happens? Meanwhile, it pushes the zone 2 and 3 sideways, which causes shear failure. Okay, understood now clearly?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that is the failure mechanism basically. So now, if you take the central wedge, if you see the central wedge, it is like this. You know, here QU and B, width of the footing is B. B is the width of the footing, and if you take like this, the length here is how much? This one, because this angle is pi here pi. So this length will be how much? Is it B by 2 secant pi? Check it. B by 2 secant pi length. Obviously, because of cohesion, the resisting force will be C into, C means cohesion, C into B by 2 secant pi. This side also. Okay. And one more force actually, see resultant, normal to the surface is like this. So because of friction actually, from normal always the force will be pi degrees. That means it is like this. You can check it. This angle is pi. So obviously this will be vertical. Let this force be PP. So this side also same force will be there because of equilibrium. I mean because of this is normal. This side also PP. Okay. So the PP is in vertical direction. Now you can write equilibrium equation here. ఎవరికైనా డౌట్ ఉంటే అడగండి ఎలా వచ్చింది వర్టికల్ ఎలా వస్తుందని డౌట్ ఉంది ఎవరికైనా see the resultant always pi angle with the normal. Okay, that you can think like this. Suppose a force is acting like this, some force. What is the reaction? Normal reaction N. So maximum horizontal frictional resistance is how much? Mu times of N, right? Friction is there. Then resultant, this is resultant. So this angle is, so mu can be understood as a tan pi. That is mu n means n tan pi. Mu friction angle, I mean the coefficient of friction can be represented as a tan pi. Obviously, see in this triangle, if you see, this is n, normal reaction force. So this is n tan pi. So this will be pi. So always resultant direction, resultant of normal force and frictional resistance. The resultant is always pi angle with the normal direction. That's why we are PP, we are making here angle of pi, which is now the PP direction will be vertical. Clear? Ardhamainda?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now if you write equilibrium, vertical equilibrium, then it is, so QU is the pressure into area is the force. Area perpendicular to screen, 1 unit you can take. So QU into B is in downward direction plus the area of this wedge shape. So area of this wedge shape is how much? Width is B, half into base B. Height is how much? Height is B by 2 tan pi. Check it. This height
Yes, sir.
B by 2 tan pi. Okay. So B by 2 tan pi. This is the area of the wedge into gamma. Okay. Equal to 2 times of PP plus the cohesive force C into B by 2 secant pi is there. No, it's vertical component into sin pi, right? So 2 times both sides. C into B by 2 into secant pi into vertical component is sin pi. So if you simplify this, you will get QU equal to 1 by B into 2 PP plus C into B tan pi minus gamma B square by 4 into tan pi. Here PP is having 3 components. PP, passive force. It is due to cohesion, PPC plus PPQ, that means weight as a surcharge, gamma dF, plus weight of the soil as well, PP gamma. Okay. So PPC means only we consider C alone. C alone we consider, Q will be 0. Q, what is that? Gamma dF. That will be taken as 0. And weight of the soil, that is gamma, sorry, the surcharge is actually gamma dF, and gamma also will take 0. That means actually the shear strength will be due to the weight of the soil as well. This whatever third zone soil weight is there, whatever is there, that also contribute in the shear strength. Actually the soil is going away, but that weight resists actually. So we here assume gamma 0, Q0, only C alone we consider. Actually C alone we are considering here in first part. Coming to second part, okay, I'll write like this. Coming to second part, PP, while calculating PPQ, we assume C0, gamma 0, Q alone non-zero. While calculating PP gamma, here C0, Q0, gamma only non-zero. That means weight of the soil. Okay, understood now? So like this, by superposition technique, we can calculate this PP finally, and finally we can get QU equal to, finally QU equal to, you can write like this, C times of tan pi, whatever is there, that C times of tan pi, okay, plus the BB gets cancelled, right, plus 2 PPC by B plus 1 by B into 2 PPQ plus 2 PP gamma by B minus gamma B by 4 tan pi. A second. One by that is 2 PP Q by B plus 2 PP gamma by B minus gamma B by 4 tan pi. So finally, after expressing these things, we can finally write C times of NC plus Q times of NQ plus 0.5 gamma B times of N gamma, where NC, NQ, N gamma are bearing capacity factors. Clear? So finally we derived this one, CNC plus QNQ plus 0.5 gamma B and gamma, to find ultimate bearing capacity of strip footing only. So this is only for strip footing. Clear?
Yes,
So
sir.
Herzagi's bearing capacity formula is so for strip footing he has given QU equal to CNC plus QNQ plus 0.5 gamma B n gamma. So later he has given his formulas for of course for square and circular also. Okay, square as well as circular footings also has given. Those are like this. So square footing QU equal to 1.3 CNC. Actually, first he proposed 1.2 only. So later he corrected as a 1.3. That's why some books, okay, in certain books you can see 1.2 also, right? Q and Q plus for square footings 0.4 gamma B and gamma. And circular footing QU equal to 1.3 CNC. This correction factors actually is 1.3, okay. Q and Q plus 0.3 gamma B and gamma. Okay. And rectangle he has not given, but we can make like this. 1 plus 0.3 into B by L into CNC plus Q and Q plus 0.5 minus 0.1 into B by L into gamma B and gamma. Gamma B and gamma. You can use this formula for this one. So these are for, I mean, the failures are based on Terzaghi, two kinds of failures actually. General shear failure. General shear failure. That means if this can be used for, I mean, dense sand and stiff clays. So general shear failure means there is no local compression. So if local compression is there, he named that one as a local shear failure. Local shear failure. Local shear failure means if soil is soft, compressible, then locally it compresses. That, I mean, entire soil won't move in the failure. I mean, in failure scenario, if soil is dense enough, then entire soil mass will be moved away and failure takes place. But if soil is compressible, see, look around the wedge, whatever is there, surrounding of that edge, compression takes place, and finally the failure takes place. That's why it is called local shear failure. So generally it happens in medium dense sand and soft clays. Okay, relatively soft clays, medium soft consistency. Okay. Consistency clays. So how to find bearing capacity in local shear failure means, in local shear failure, so C will be replaced by, C will be replaced by 2/3 of C. That means modified C equal to 2/3 of C should be used. Okay. Similarly, pi will be modified as replaced by tan inverse of 2/3 of tan pi. That means tan pi will be replaced by 2/3 of tan pi. Okay, understood now? Tan pi will be replaced by 2/3 of tan pi. That's why here modified pi should be used. That is equal to, you can write like this: tan pi will be replaced by 2/3 of tan pi. That means modified tan pi, I mean modified pi m equal to tan inverse of 2/3 of tan pi. Okay, like this. Local shear failure and general shear failure he proposed. Okay, then so how to find NC, NQ, N gamma means, so some formulas are there, no need to remember all those formulas, but if you see here, Terzaghi bearing capacity factors are like this. Terzaghi's bearing capacity factors, NC, NQ, N gamma, these are functions of pi alone. Okay, they depend on pi value. If you know pi value, NC, NQ, N gamma, you can work out. So for general shear failure, NC, NQ, N gamma values are like this. So suppose pi value at 0 degrees, NC you will get as 5.7, NQ 1, N gamma 0. For 5 degrees, so at least you can remember that for 0 degrees, remaining thing not required. 5 degrees, 7.3, 1.6, 0.5. Similarly for 10 degrees, 9.6, 2.7, 1.2. In between some angle is there for, I mean the pi angle, then you can interpolate that. Similarly for 15 degrees, 12.9, 4.4, 2.5. Some 30 degrees if you take 37.2, 22.5, 19.7 like this. Some 50 degrees if you take 347.5, 415.1, 1153.2. So local shear failure means, so pi should be modified and accordingly you need to calculate. So otherwise they may mention directly sometimes in exam these values. Local shear failure means, so let us call it as a NC dash, NQ dash, N gamma dash. So based on those values they may be worked out for 0 degrees by calculating that 2/3 of, okay, tan inverse of 2/3 of tan pi. So this value will be here 1.7, 5.710 only for 0 degrees. Then here it is 6.7, 1.4, 0.2. For 10 degrees if you modify accordingly, you will get 8, 1.9, 0.5. So here 9.7, 2.7, 0.9. Here what is this? 19, 8.3, 5.7, 65.6, 87.1, 329.1. Like this. Okay. Clear now? The modifications. So whenever they mention local shear failure means you should use NC dash, NQ dash, N gamma dash. Otherwise directly based on pi value. So if you know pi value, modified pi value. So one suppose 30 degrees, pi is 30 degrees. Then modified pi equal to tan inverse of 2/3 of tan 30. Okay. So which is equal to how much? Yeah. Tan inverse of 2/3 into tan 30.
21.05 degrees.
21.05 degrees. So you have two things actually. To find NC dash, suppose NC dash directly you can read here 30 degrees. According to this 30 degrees here 19. NQ dash equal to 8.3 or N gamma dash equal to here 5.7, right? So same thing you can get if you read. If you want to read the values in general shear failure, you should read in 21.05 degrees. Okay. So if you have a chart for 20 degrees and 25 degrees, you can interpolate and directly you can get from general shear failure values only. So if you want to read in general shear failure readings, then the value should be read at 21.05. అర్థమైంది కదా? If you want to read 30 degrees, then directly you should go to local shear failure values. Okay. So if table is available as a local shear failure, not a problem. Otherwise, this local shear failure table is not available. Then from general shear failure itself, we can get the values by modifying the pi angle like this. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Next, effect of water table. Okay. Effect of water table. Here, effect of water table. Suppose this is the footing. Okay. So this is depth of foundation. DF. The width of foundation is B. Then in our formula, basically, QU equal to CNC plus QNQ plus 0.5 gamma B N gamma. This Q is basically effective weight of DF depth of soil. Effective weight of DF depth of soil. DF soil depth. DF soil. Okay. Gamma B. This gamma B term represents effective weight of B depth soil. B soil. Okay. So accordingly, see here assumption is basically directly if you can take effective weights, not a problem. Otherwise, correction factor can be multiplied. Okay. Suppose if water table is somewhere here below the footing. Suppose water table is somewhere here. Some B depth, small B depth. Okay. Water table is here. So there is no chance of getting, reduction of this water, gamma DF, gamma Q. Q is what actually? Gamma DF, right? So gamma DF won't reduce because water table is below the footing level, but in the B range only, in the B depth, within the B depth it is the water table is there. Then the correction factor, we can propose two correction factors here. Here one correction factor, suppose WQ. Let us assume this is WQ. Water table correction factor WQ. Here W gamma. So WQ will be 1 only if water table is here. Okay. So that means the graph I will draw. WQ graph. So wherever may be the water table below the footing, its value is 1 only. It is for WQ variation. Okay, I will draw here. Suppose water table is at above the footing, somewhere here. A depth above. Somewhere here. Obviously, see, assuming water table is at ground level, then almost submerged soil weight will be almost 50% only. Let us assume gamma sat is 20, gamma W is 10, then gamma dash will be how much? 10. That means 50% weight reduced, right? So here, basically, if water table is at ground level, then its value will be 0.5 because 50% reduction will be there. In between, linear variation can take like this. That means water table is above the base level, then this factor is applicable. When water table is below the base level, then WQ will be 1 only. Okay, without having factor also, okay, because it is 1. So in between here, this value will be how much? 0.5 plus WQ equal to 0.5 plus, yes, tell me, 0.5 plus or 1 minus, you can write like this, 1 minus. So how much reduction? This much reduction. What is this? This one, because this is A, let's assume this is A. Okay, so this is A. Yeah, tell me how much it is, minus subtraction, how much? Is it 1 minus 0.5 A by DF? Is it okay? WQ equal to, understood now? WQ value 1 minus 0.5 A by DF. Suppose A is DF, A equal to DF. That means water table is at the ground level. Then it is 1 minus 0.5. 0.5 factor will be there. A equal to 0. Then 1 only. Below that 1 only, because the gamma DF soil weight will be gamma DF only. It won't reduce because water table is below the base of the footing. Then it is 1 only. So this formula, this diagram you can visualize and you can think. Okay. Similarly, W gamma, that one how it affects. Okay, gamma DF. So if suppose if water table is above the ground level, above the footing base, then obviously gamma B soil will be in a submerged condition. That means always 0.5. That means it is like this. 0.5 always. When water table is in DF depth, that means above the base level, then gamma B soil will be, the B soil will be in submerged condition. Obviously 0.5 will be there. At below or at B depth, then its value is 1. In between, variation is linear. That means somewhere here at B depth, its value will be 0.5 plus 0.5 B by B. You can visualize, right? W gamma. Clear? So in this manner, we can work out these correction factors. Otherwise, roughly you can work out simply effective weight of DF depth of soil. Suppose the soil is in submerged condition, then it takes submerged unit weight. Okay, then it will be okay. Directly you will get without applying correction factor. So, but they proposed correction factors like this, approximately. Assuming submerged unit weight equal to 50% of the saturated weight. Assumption is here, assumption gamma dash equal to, gamma dash means gamma submerged, okay. Gamma sub equal to 0.5 times of gamma sat. That is the assumption. Clear? Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So next thing is basically, okay, so Meyerhof analysis. See, basically, Terzaghi not considered the shear strength of the soil above the footing level. That is drawback actually. But Meyerhof actually separate those drawbacks. So the shear strength of the soil, which was neglected, by Terzaghi, is considered, okay, in this analysis. And see, in Terzaghi theory, inclined loads not allowed, right? So here inclined loads, for inclined loads, and similarly, see different shapes. So correction factors, okay. So different shapes, and similarly, actually Terzaghi theory is only applicable for shallow foundations. Deep foundations is not applicable. So this theory, Meyerhof theory, for deep foundations also applicable. So different shapes and different depths. See, for inclined loads, different shapes, different depths, correction factors were proposed here. And one more thing, actually some eccentricities are there. What to do? How to handle for eccentric footings? Then he proposed useful width concept. Useful width concept was proposed for eccentricities. Okay. So these are the major changes here, okay, in Meyerhof theory. So according to this theory, QU equal to CNC, SC, DC, IC plus QNQ, SQ, DQ, IQ plus 0.5 gamma B, N gamma, S gamma, D gamma, I gamma. Okay. Of course, water table correction factor also, W dash. Okay. Here Q is effective weight of the soil. Submerged weight only should be taken here. Here only correction factor only, water table correction factor only in third term. Okay. So this S means here shape factors based on shape. Okay. D means here depth factors. I means inclination factors. Water table correction factor for third term. Q equal to effective weight of soil. Effective weight of soil above footing, above base. Okay. So here, so the soil is in submerged condition also. Here gamma sat we should take here, because gamma W dash water table correction factor we are taking here. So in gamma B term, actually gamma should be total stress. Okay, total unit weight. Okay. If it is in submerged also, total unit weight should be considered here in gamma B, because W dash water table correction factor is going to apply here. And useful width concept means actually If eccentricity is there, effective width B dash equal to B minus 2 times of eccentricity. Similarly, L dash equal to L minus 2 times of, like this. That means, suppose, so this is the footing size. Suppose this is width B and this is length L. So in B direction, eccentricity is suppose Ex and this one is Ey. So then what we should do here, like this. So effective area is this one only now. That means effective area equal to B dash into L dash. We are neglecting that 2 times of Ex and 2 times of Ey. That means load is acting here. So both sides same amount of widths only we are considering. Remaining we are omitting. Understood now? Because of eccentricity, some area we are omitting. Okay. So effective width, effective length we are considering here in Meyerhoff's theory. Arthamaindi kada?
Yes, sir.
And here the values Meyerhoff assumed actually Prandtls only. That means to find NC, NQ, N gamma, NC, NQ, N gamma are based on Prandtl. Okay. That means the wedge actually here 45 minus 45 plus pi by 2 whatever was there, that he considered only sorry NC and Q and NC and Q only, and N gamma equal to, he proposed his own, that is NQ minus 1 into tan of 1.4 pi. He proposed like this, N gamma. Meyerhoff. Okay. So Meyerhoff followed actually that wedge and all like a Prandtl's wedge. Okay. That is the Meyerhoff's this one. And finally, IS code. IS code recommendations. See, now IS 6403 1981. So it is based on basics theory. Basic, okay. Basics theory they followed. Okay. He also like Prandtl. That wedge is like a Prandtl only. Okay. Like Prandtl, wedge is like a Prandtl. That means the wedge here 45 plus pi by 2. But Terzaghi, pi only, right? Terzaghi's wedge is different, Prandtl's wedge is different. So basic also followed this Prandtl's wedge. Okay. And finally, he has given in IS recommendations, there is no formula for QU directly. So directly we got a formula for this one, QNU, net ultimate bearing capacity. Net ultimate bearing capacity. QNU. So QNU equal to CNC. Of course, SC, DC, IC will be there. Plus Q, directly you are, I mean, subtracting 1 here. NQ minus 1. Of course, here SQ, DQ, IQ will be there. Plus 0.5 gamma B, N gamma, S gamma, D gamma, I gamma, W dash, water table correction factor, like Meyerhoff's. Okay, here Q equal to effective weight of, effective weight means submerged condition, then you should take submerged weight only. Effective weight of soil above base. Okay, these are factors. Clear kada?
Yes, sir.
Net ultimate directly has given net ultimate formula. Then same for general shear failure and local shear failure. So you can use those things. General shear failure, NC, NQ, N gamma based on pi. In local shear failure, what are the changes? So always you should take 2/3 C. Okay, I will write QNU for local shear failure, QNU for local shear failure. Okay, equal to what? 2/3 of C should be taken. 2/3 of C, NC dash, okay, SC, DC, IC plus Q into NQ dash minus 1, SQ, DQ, IQ plus 0.5 gamma B, N gamma dash, S gamma, D gamma, I gamma, W dash, where NC dash, NQ dash and N gamma dash are based on what? Tan inverse of 2/3 of tan pi. Okay, local shear failure. You should remember this. Here for pi equal to 0 degrees, the values are NC equal to 5.14 like Prandtl. Okay, or Meyerhof. Meyerhof also same 5.14. NQ equal to 1, N gamma equal to 0 for 0 degrees. Here Meyerhof also same. Here pi equal to 0 degrees means NC equal to 5.14, NQ equal to 1, N gamma equal to 0 for pi equal to 0. So these are all like Prandtl only, that's why. Okay. These are the IS code recommendations. Then finally, raft foundation can be designed like this. Raft foundation basically. So NC can be raft foundation on cohesive soils. Okay. So NC basically by using those factors 5 into, I think this is based on basic 1 plus 0.2 into df by b into 1 plus 0.2 b by l NC, and net ultimate directly, net ultimate equal to Cu into NC. Okay. So in NC, as depth increases, QNU, net ultimate capacity will be increased. Okay. So net safe equal to QNU by factor of safety. So direct, now you can see the net safe capacity directly is depending on depth of foundation, right? So suppose raft is placed at a lower depth actually. Suppose this is the ground level, then depth of foundation, there is no refilling. After placing raft actually, there is no refilling like this. This is raft foundation and building is constructed on this. These are suppose columns. Okay. So this is raft. Now this is depth of foundation, suppose. raft is at a depth of df. The foundation, I mean structure weight. See, the soil weight is, we are removing some soil and placing the structure. Effectively, how much load you are putting? Effective pressure due to structure is how much? Due to structure equal to, effective pressure is equal to, see, the load divided by area, okay, P by A, whatever, the structure load, whatever is there. Suppose structure load is P. Structure load equal to, suppose totally P. P by A is the pressure imposed by the structure. But gamma dF we are reducing. Earlier, the soil is experiencing gamma dF pressure. That soil weight completely removed, excavated, not refilled, right? Understood now? Effective pressure due to structure is only P by A minus gamma dF. Understood now?
Yes, sir.
So now the net set bearing capacity, whatever is there, can be equated with this. Equate this 1 and 2 to get the depth of foundation required. So that means Q and U by F equal to P by A minus gamma dF. So you will get the depth of foundation based on this formula. That means what is Q and U? Cu NC. That means Cu into NC is what? 5 into 1 plus 0.2 dF by B into 1 plus 0.2 B by L divided by factor of safety, okay, equal to structure load divided by area, that is L into B. Area means here L into B. You know that L into B also, structure load is there, minus gamma into dF. See, in this, if you fix the length and breadth of the building, I mean raft, L into B, raft size if you know, structure load if you know, factor of safety, whatever factor of safety you want, you know, then only unknown is here what? Unknown is length to breadth, you know already. Factor of safety is there. Cohesion is there. Unknown is there. Unknown is what in this equation?
Load P.
Huh?
Load కావాలి సార్ ఇంకా.
For a given load of the structure, already we know the load of the structure. Plant size of the raft, you know. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Gamma is there. Everything is there. Factor of safety is there. What is unknown here then?
Depth of the foundation.
Yeah, depth of the foundation required can be worked out. Okay. In this equation, depth of the foundation can be worked out. So minimum depth of foundation required here. So the advantage we are getting, see, weak soil is there, then bearing capacity will be very less. In that situations, see the soil is excavating. We are not placing back that soil. Obviously, so in place of soil, we are putting some weight on the structure. So obviously, you will get some advantage. Okay. So how much depth needs to be excavated means in this formula I can work out. Okay. So raft foundations, if you want to design on weak soils, on cohesive weak soils, then this method can be used. Okay. This is proposed by Meyerhoff only again. Okay. Clear now?